Hello, 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 and welcome to the Afrocenturies podcast. And to this particular segment, Thursday Live Sessions. Okay, so this particular episode was meant to hold last week, Thursday, but due to circumstances beyond my control, I could not connect at that time. Actually, at that time, I was at the embassy struggling for position just to get, to my turn. And I thought I would be done. I had gotten to the embassy at 5 a.m. in the morning. And I thought I would be done at least before 5 p.m. my time. But alas, at 5 p.m., I was actually just even getting into the room, the waiting room to be called up for my capturing. And so it was super impossible for me to come live with Chinaza last week, Thursday. But I'm so excited that we're here today and we're going to have that conversation about who you are. Who are you really beyond the titles, beyond your job, beyond the things that you've been through and the things that you hope to be? Who are you really? This is the conversation we want to have. And actually, that is the title of one of her books. Okay, who are you really? So today I'm going to be hosting Chinaza Favour, and in a bit I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. But for now, welcome. If this is your first time on the Afrocentrics podcast, you are welcome. You are welcome to this podcast. Yes, you're welcome. I'm delighted that you're here today to be a part of the conversation, the live conversation. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're yet to subscribe to this YouTube channel, please go ahead and click on the subscribe button and turn on notification. Now, on the Afrocentrics podcast, this is where we podcast with a difference, right? The way we run this podcast is a little bit different from the way others run theirs. How I run this podcast is I have segments on the podcast. So on Monday, we have Business Mondays, where I feature business owners who have solutions, products, or services for other businesses. So if this sounds like you and you'd like to be featured, send us an email to theafrocentrist@gmail.com. It's going to be on your screen in a short while when my guests come on board. And on Tuesday, we have Discovery Tuesday, where I have two coaches. One is a relationship coach and one is a psychologist. And both of them host this particular segment where they, look or zoom in into relationships, how to discover yourself, and how knowing yourself or discovering yourself would help you in your relationship with yourself and with others. That is what Discovery Tuesday is all about. So, relationship with yourself, with your spouse, with your children, with your colleague, anything around relationship is what we cover on Discovery Tuesday. And my favorite, it's my bestseller for now. It's called The Woman, Her Story, and Her Impact. And this one comes live every Wednesday, where I get to sit with women or interview women from across the world. Like I've interviewed literally women from different part of the world, right? Sharing their stories and how they are impacting their world. So they tell us a little bit about themselves and how they are currently impacting their world. So what's their business or what's their calling or what is their story, teaching you. And that's just an amazing, that's one of the segments that has really opened me up to opportunities that's beyond my wildest imagination. And then we recently introduced Thursday live sessions where I bring thought leaders, experts in their fields, knowledgepreneur to come share out of the expertise or out of the wealth of their knowledge. And so today we have this beautiful woman. She's a writer, she's an author, she's a youth ambassador, she's a brand ambassador. Like, she's an expert, okay? And she's going to be sharing from one of her books, right? And then on Friday, we have Fun Fridays. This is a new segment that we're still testing the waters with. But on Fridays, this is where we chill and laugh and joke and faff and do whatever it is we want on the show. We can talk about anything and everything, basically. And in fact, we would invite you as our audience. If you want to be a part of that, you can send us an email and then we will invite you during the recording so that you're part of the conversation as part of the hosts for that event. So for that particular segment. So these are the segments that we cover on the Afrocentrics podcast. So feel free to lock in to our channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel, but also you can listen across podcast platforms, so anchor.com, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, name it, anywhere podcasts are being, iHeartRadio, anywhere podcasts are being shared, you see there. Even recently, we got into Amazon Music, so we're also on Amazon Music. So you can listen to us from any of these platforms. Now, I want to do this special shout out. She's in the studio already. And I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, Chinaza Favour, because you're one of our supporters on buymeacoffee.com. And the beautiful thing is the message she left behind. She said this: just because the Afrocentrics podcast is one amazing podcast that deserves to be listened to by millions around the globe, I am only able to buy 3 cups of coffee, but in the nearest future, I will proudly buy 100 and even more cups. Thank you, Adriel, and the team. I absolutely love what you do. Thank you. Such a beautiful message, just as she is beautiful in and out. Like the way I connected this lady is just amazing, and I love her so much. Thank you, Chinaza Favour, for that little, note that you dropped and for supporting the Afrocentrics podcast. So, if you are not yet following Chinaza and you're watching this or listening to this, head now to the Instagram and go look for Chinaza Favour underscore. She's also seen Chinaza Favour on Facebook if you're on Facebook, right? Connect with her. She's an amazing soul. Thank you, Chinaza Favour. And if you want to be like Chinaza Favour and you want to, support the work that we do here by buying us a cup of coffee or 2 cups or 3 cups or 100 cups. Please do that by heading to buymeacoffee.com/Afrocentrics podcast and just support us with as little as $5. You can buy us a cup of coffee, and we would appreciate that. What we would do with that support is to create more content. We need to we need to subscribe to platforms. We need to just continue consistently dish out content, and this attracts some fees. And so we're just saying you can support also that we don't weigh down, and that we do more and more and more as we go by the day. All right. Thank you so much for being here again. If you're yet to subscribe now. Today we're talking about who are you really? Who are you really? And this is the title of one of her books. Like, she's an author, I mentioned, right? So now let me tell you a little bit about her before I bring her up on stage. This lovely, gorgeous human. Like, there's like, what's not to love about Chinaza? If you have interacted with her, you understand what I'm saying. But of course, you will also see for yourself in a bit, why this woman, this young lady, is just an amazing, amazing person. Chinaza Favour is a visionary saddled with the burden to transform the minds of individuals, especially the youth, from having a negative definition of themselves to having a proper understanding of who they are through the eyes of God, overcome their insecurities, and heal from emotional hurts. She is a certified writer, a public speaker, and an advocate for modesty and godly fashion. She is an activist for general wellness, which she calls wholesome living. She believes that for one to have a balanced life, for one to have a balanced life, one must take every part of one's living seriously without placing priority on a few and ignoring the others, as they all play important roles in determining our quality of life. Her sole aim is to inspire people to be the best version of themselves and live a fulfilling life, not haunted by the past, unbothered by present circumstances, and hopeful for the future. Just beautiful. All this she does through different channels like her soul lifting articles, songs, and her talk show, Honest Conversations with Chinaza Favour, on YouTube. So you better go and subscribe to that channel now. She believes that hope for the world is not far fetched as long as humans, the atomic component, the atomic components of the society commits to having attitude and exhibiting characteristics that promote the well-being of others by being a little more kind, a little more patient, be a little more forgiving, and a little less judgmental. She is an undergraduate student of psychology at the University of Lagos and the youth ambassador of La Roche Leadership Foundation. She's also the author of the best-selling book, Who Are You Really? A book that causes a paradigm shift in the way people perceive themselves to the way God sees them. And Dear Young One, a collection of life letters to the youth from the perspective of a fellow young person. Her mantra is, healing for the world begins with healing in us. She's also known as the healer. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, boys and girls, mommies and daddies, I am so delighted to bring up on stage now the beautiful, collected, amazing, gorgeous, wonderful. In fact, I can keep going. Like she's laughing herself to stupor behind the scene. As I bring on stage my darling sister, Chinaza Favour. Hi,
Hi. Good afternoon, sis.
So good to finally do this. So good to finally have you on
Yeah,
the show.
I
Like I
know,
am
right?
just so elated and so happy and so glad to have you here. You have been a blessing to me since I connected with you December
Oh,
2021, right? Right,
yes,
we
yes,
were getting into the year. We entered into the year before the rest. And it's
yes,
just been a
yes.
beautiful journey so far. It feels like we've known for long, but at the same time, we have a
Honestly,
lot to catch up on.
yeah,
Just beautiful.
I can relate with that heavy sigh. I can relate. It's just been amazing knowing you, following what you do. You're just one beautiful soul, and I'm thankful that our paths crossed. And it's amazing
Absolutely.
that we finally have to do this.
I
Like, it's
know.
beautiful.
I know. I'm so
Thank you so
excited.
much.
Okay,
Thank you,
so the
sis.
goons are here, the family are here. Like, I just love the way you have built um, a dedicated community. And it's like, I'm like, how did she do it? Like it's just been amazing watching you and seeing the way you're able to pull your people, and it's a beautiful thing to behold. It's something that I admire. I can almost even say I covet, like, oh my god, I can't wait for that time when I'm able to really pull this kind of impact. It's amazing, it's beautiful. Keep up the great work. Let's
Thank
just
you.
see some of them shouting out at you on the screen. Let's give them some shout out. Promise Akpan says, I am happy to join today. Thank you, Promise
Thank
Akpan, for
you.
joining. Where are you joining from, Promise? You can type that in the comment. Let us see you. Faith Akroyi says, see my sisters.
Let's
Yay!
sis.
Good to see you too, sis.
Yes.
Good to see you. Okay, go and call the rest of our family members. Go and call them that we have gathered, though. Service have
Yeah.
started. Let us
Mm-hmm.
gather around to talk about who are we really beyond
Yeah.
the name tags, beyond the, you know, but what's that thing that we do now in this knowledge space and in the online space, creating your brand? That's your purpose statement. Beyond your
Thank you.
purpose statement,
Mm-hmm.
who are you really? And what constitutes or what helps you formulate that image that you have of yourself? Is it your past? Is it your present? Is it your future? Is it your circumstances? Is it what other people say about you? Or is it just the way your mind goes and just that mind that will just be telling you stuff that is not really real, right?
Telling
But
you
who are
stops.
you?
Yeah.
This is the conversation we
Yeah.
want to have. But before we dive into the conversation, Chinaza, let us get. I mean, I know some of the people who are going to join are already know you, but for some of my audience, who probably don't know you, and so I would like for them to just kind of just have this trivia question that I'll just ask, just for us to
Okay.
see, have know something fun about you, and then
Okay.
yeah, we can take it away from there. So
Okay.
my first fun question for you today.
Okay. You're making me nervous by this laugh.
No, no. What is the most embarrassing experience you've ever had?
Oh, are you really asking me that?
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm not going to tell you the most embarrassing. I'm going to tell you the second most embarrassing.
Okay.
Yes. Because the most embarrassing is just
Very embarrassing.
too embarrassing. So it happened when I was going for jump lessons. I registered for this private tutorial center, and as ladies, we menstruate every month. You know, So one of those days, I was always very prepared for whatever, whenever it was going to come. But for some reason, I didn't know it was going to come. It came a lot earlier than it was supposed to come. So I was there on my seat, seated, having classes. I didn't even feel like anything was happening. So I wanted to go ease myself and I stood up. You need to see the way I walked majestically to the toilet. I did not know that my back was just stained.
Oh my
It was a
God.
friend of mine who walked with me to the bathroom to tell me, girl, what's going on? Because if I had stood up or if I knew that it was going to come out that day, I could have stood up and, kind of tried to ask her if I'm stained. But I just stood up and there were teachers, there were students.
Majestically, like
I walked
fine girl.
majestically. I was in the toilet until that class finished.
Oh my God, I
That was it.
know.
It was so embarrassing. Oh God. I couldn't
I
even come
know.
back to face my classmates. I was in the restroom until everyone went, left, and when they were gone, I came back. By that time, I had finished washing my
Wow.
clothes. I came back, took my bag, and went
I
home.
understand.
The next day, because I didn't want anybody to just talk me down because of
Reference,
that.
yeah.
Yes. I became my bubbly self. I didn't even
Like
mention
nothing
it.
happened.
Nothing happened. The guys are looking at each other. Look at this one. I didn't even care. I didn't even behave as if I cared. Like, it was very embarrassing. Remembering it right now. God, I can't believe I was able to get through it that time. But life happens.
I can imagine. Oh my goodness, I can
Yeah.
imagine. And the fact is, the funny part is the fact that you didn't know. So the
I didn't
majestic
know.
walk, like, oh my God,
Yeah.
ground, open up and swallow
Yeah.
me right
And
now.
I'm very, very tall. I'm 6 feet plus. So when I walk, people know that I'm walking and they
Everybody's
want
on
to
me.
look. It was something else.
Like you,
But you
you
see,
cannot
that
sneak into
helped
a
me
room.
to, yeah, that helped me to build, to find humor, in my failures or whatever. I don't
Mm,
get too hard on myself anymore. How could you
yeah,
not have known? I mean, life happens. See how I just talked about
happens.
it. I laugh
Exactly.
about it. I'm no longer embarrassed that it happened. Even the next day, I was not embarrassed that it happened anymore because I was like, these things happen. I mean, if you have a wardrobe malfunction, every other person has wardrobe malfunction. So
Yeah.
it's not like it's peculiar to me, So it made me to be my most authentic self, and I'm happy for that.
I
Yeah.
just, oh my goodness, as you talked about wardrobe malfunction, I just,
Yeah.
an incident just flashed in my head, right? Oh my God, it's just, I can't even share it. It's just, I'm just laughing. Oh, it was so, I can't even share. Oh my
I
goodness.
feel
Oh
you.
my goodness. Oh my goodness. Anyways, that was really fun to know. And you see why sometimes when I ask this trivia question, it kind of let us see another version of you. And just like you said, now we know that yes, you are that person who doesn't really like hold on to things too tight.
Yeah.
So like things go wrong, life happens, we move
Yeah.
on, we learn
We
from the
move on.
experience, we move on,
Yeah.
right? So that's just beautiful to know. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
And now my head is going, I don't understand if that was the
If this
second
was
most
not,
embarrassing.
trust me, you don't want to know about the other one. Trust me. Trust me. Let's not even go there.
I can only imagine. All right. Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay, welcome. I see you, Lucky Nathan. Thank you. They're saying hi to Chinaza. Yes, yes, yes.
Hello,
Sister
Mr.
Chinaza is
Lucky. Good to have you
here.
here.
Awesome. Thank you guys for being here. You can feel free to share this link with somebody else who should be here to join the conversation. And as we speak, feel free to also share your thoughts in the comment section and I'll put it on the screen or at least make reference to it. So now let us go into the conversation of today. I know that this conversation is, you know, This is the beauty about having, or this is it the beauty? This is the dynamic of having live sessions. Like anything
Yeah,
can happen.
anything can happen. Yeah,
All
that's
right.
right. We get it.
So I know that this conversation is coined out from your book. So basically, it's more like we're talking about the book.
Mhm.
Who are you really? First of all, what gave birth to that book? Like, why did you feel the need to write that book?
Okay. I wrote it because I was now in a place I feel I can share what I had already known, what God taught me. The book was birthed out of my personal experiences because my life is a web of complication. And a lot happened from when I was a child, let's say 6, till I was 18. Okay, from when I was 8 till I was 18, I was sexually abused by 9 different men. And so they mess with my head, they mess with everything that I ever thought I knew. I was exposed to knowledge I wasn't ready for, you know. So I hated myself. I hated my spit. Like myself disgusted me from when I say this and many people don't really get it. From when I was 13 till I was 15, 12, 13, 14, 15. I don't really remember my life, what happened in my life in that period because I was trying to run away from whatever life I had then. And I couldn't open up to anyone. So it was just me dealing with my demons. And on the outside, I was a regular teenager. But inside, I was battling demons that I couldn't open up to anyone about. So I grew up with very low self esteem. I grew up with identity crisis. Who am I? Am I just an object of sex to these people? What exactly is my life? What is this? So I continued in that direction until I turned 20, 21. I was still battling this. So when I turned 21, something happened in that time I turned 21. And when I made a very drastic decision, I started asking God questions. Who am I? I'm tired of all this rubbish because I had gone to websites to tell me, to guide me on how to find myself. I had listened to lots of messages, not messages, lots of talks, taking lots of pieces of advice just to find myself. But most of what I was told was to look deep within that I would find myself. And when I did that, I ended up seeing what I was trying to run away from, seeing all my scars, seeing all my hurt, seeing all the things that were not good about me, seeing all my insecurities, because it's more like when you look deep within, you are just mirroring yourself, what is on the inside of you. And I was hurting, I was not yet healed. So it was a very worst piece of advice that I took. I hated myself even more. That was when I had to go to God to ask Him, who am I? I'm tired of messing up. I'm tired of hating life. I'm just tired of everything. And he told me, this is who you are. So I was on that journey. I'm still on that journey. What I do is I don't wait until a journey is ended before I share. I share to carry other people along. So I am still on that journey, but I've come a very, very long way from when I started. That was why I felt the need to write this book because I know that a lot of people also will be having this identity crisis and they have no one to ask, or like me, they could have asked Google, checked on YouTube, and they are still not getting the answers that they needed. So I had to share that message with the world. That's what birthed the book.
Wow, I am shocked. I know I said we have catching up to do, but wait, what?
Yeah,
9?
yeah.
And sis, I can 100% relate with having chunk of your life,
Mm.
zilch, zero, because you purposely just lock it away like
Yeah.
it doesn't exist. I know I have that. I
Yeah.
celebrate your courage for sharing because some of us we never speak Gada liver. I'm sorry guys, we don't speak pigeon. What I'm trying to
Yeah.
say, just in case somebody is listening and you're not Nigerian, is not all of us have summoned the courage to share. So, Chinaza Favour, thank you for having that courage. I know a lot of people also have the courage to share, but I am relating with you now. I'm talking to you now, and I just want to say thank you for sharing. You know, I mean, I engage with your content a lot online, and I see how, I see this with you, how you carry people along. And I just wonder, like, how do you do it? Because, well, we are on a journey. We are all
Yeah.
on our journeys. Like,
Yes. That's
maybe
right.
a time will come. Maybe a time will come. But for now, we build behind the scenes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gosh, that must have been hard.
Oh, you have no
That must have
idea.
been
It was
hard.
crazy. It was
So
crazy.
what then did you discover on your journey to now really knowing who you are? And tell us about who you are now.
Okay. So when I went to God in prayer, God speaks to me in different ways. I went to Him in prayer. God, I am your product, I believe. And I don't want to ask other manufacturers who I am. I want to ask you who made me because you know me better. Who am I? And by this time, I had given my life to Christ. And He told me, you are my daughter. You are a child of God. He dropped it in my spirit. And I started laughing. Do you know why? Because I was expecting him to give me one big title like that. This is who you are. You are this, you are that, you are that. And he just told me, you are a child of God. It didn't make sense to me because I was like, God, what does this have to do with being your child? I don't get it. Then he began to open my eyes to what it actually means to be a child of God. He took me on the journey towards knowing that, okay, if you are a child of God, old things have passed away and all things have become new. Now, whatever that happened in your past is gone. I have taken charge of your life right now. And if you would allow me, I'm going to lead you and guide you towards healing. That was the first thing he told me. And then he began to show me scripture by scripture the several identities that I have as a child of God. He told me, you are the light of the world. You are the salt of the earth. You are my masterpiece. Like, that made me feel so good. He says, I am the mastercraft and you are my masterpiece. I don't create anything fake. I don't create anything that is not beautiful because I had very low self-esteem. I hated myself, and he it was as if we were just having a conversation like this, and he was telling me, "You are my masterpiece." I held on to that for a very, very long time. Chinaza, you are God's masterpiece. You don't have to deal with low self-esteem because if you are the child of a lion, you are equally a lion. So you can be the child of a lion and you are behaving like a rabbit. It is an insult to your proper identity in God. And the thing is that many people try to base their identity on things that are physical, things that are passing away. But if I if you can base your identity on God, He is the one who made you, so He knows you better. He is timeless, He is changeless, He doesn't change. Yeah. So if you can base your identity on Him and you start that inward healing, then you can move that to the outside. You can now talk about your personality, because personality is shallow compared to who you are in God, because anyone can be an introvert, anyone can be an extrovert, anyone can be phlegmatic, like they classify it, melancholy and all that. But behind all of those personalities, who are you? You are a child of God, and there are several benefits. There are several other identities that you have just for being a child of God. It's like having a passport, being an American citizen. There are several benefits that you have for being an American citizen. You can walk into any country without visa, right? So it is just like that. When you have this identity, you don't need any other to supplement it, because this is just more than enough. So when he started sharing all those things with me, I told him, God, you know what? I don't want any other for my identification. This is enough. In fact, it took the grace of God for me not to go and print an ID card with that with that to say I am a child of God. That if anyone asks me who are you, I am a child of God. I no longer define myself by the things that have happened to me, the people who hurt me. I no longer hold grudges against them, because I mean all things work together for good, right? And it's because of what I've gone through, that is why I'm in this place where I can help others to also get through what they're going through. So in the end, it all just works together. It all just comes together, and I'm very excited for the journey ahead.
Wow, fantastic. Now, in my head, I just want to ask because I feel like somebody is watching this or somebody could be watching this later on and ask the same question to say that, okay, if he says you are his child, you are his masterpiece, did you get to ask him that question? Like, why did he allow what happened to you happen to you? Like, how did you deal with that part of it? Like, okay, if I was your child, or if I am your child, if I am your masterpiece, why did you let these things happen to me? What is it? What was that all about? Did you ask that
Yeah.
question? If you did you have that question? Do you have answers to it? Can you tell us about that?
Yes, of course. As you would imagine, I asked, okay, God, you say I'm your child, just like you said. Why then did all these things happen to me? Why did I have to get exposed to knowledge I shouldn't have gotten exposed to? Why did I have to find myself in all this mess? Why did all these wrong things happen to me before you tell me this? Why did you even allow it to happen in the first place? I mean, you could have told me that I'm your child from the beginning. You could have averted all these things. You didn't make them to happen, but you allowed them. Why? So he told me, he told me that he allowed his son to die on the cross. But that was for a purpose. He was not a wicked father. Everything he allows to happen all happened for a reason. And like I said, if we take a step back and look very well, if we're being truthful to ourselves, we'll see that what all the things that we say are negative, they were just lessons, they were just experiences that cannot be taken away from us, that are preparing us for whatever God has for us in the future. So these days, I no longer feel bad. In fact, when I thank God for my life, I thank Him for the negative experiences. Because without that, when someone comes to tell me about what they are going through, I wouldn't be able to relate. Like it just be sounding alien to me. What exactly do you mean? But now I'm even the one championing it. I'm the one helping people. I cannot tell you the number of messages I receive every day from people that my messages have touched. This book, when I wrote it and it went into circulation, the testimonials, some persons would call even in the midnight and start crying to say, thank you for writing this book. I lost myself. I lost every single thing that concerned me, but this book brought me back to where I needed to be. So it just happened for a reason. It happened because God wanted my story to heal hearts. That's why I call myself the healer, because sometimes it allows us to fall sick so we can understand the pain of others who are sick, so we can understand, so we can relate with whatever other sick people that we'll meet along our journey we'll be saying. So it was all for good. It was all for good. If
Yeah,
he could allow his son to die, he could have saved him, but he turned his back. So if he could allow his son to die for our salvation, then I allowed you to go through these things for the salvation
for
of
the
others
salvation of
coming up,
others. That is
coming
so,
after you. Yeah,
that is so, so, so deep. What?
yeah.
That
So I
is,
was more like a scapegoat. I was
I
just like this lamb of
mean,
sacrifice.
seriously. And, come to think about it, when we really look, like you said, when we really take a step back and look at it, it's a privilege.
Yeah, it's a
It is.
privilege.
Yes, at the time of the issue, at the time of the challenges, it might look like, oh my God, why did you forsake me? Even
Yeah,
Jesus had to cry, like, Father, Father, like, are you turning your back at me? Really? At this
yeah,
point? Really?
exactly.
you know, but it was for a bigger purpose. It was for a
Yeah,
bigger reason. It's more like sacrificing the one for the 99,
exactly.
rather than letting the 99 go and just keeping this one because she loved him so much.
Yeah,
And it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing to know, a beautiful
yeah.
thing to experience. Wow. And I just love, like, that was a light bulb moment for me right there when you said, if he could allow his son to
Yeah.
die. And if we look at that, as especially as, for those of us who are followers of Jesus, if we look at that, then when, oh my goodness, like I'm having like a whole Rema this thing here.
I
Like
know,
if we look
right?
at it like that, it now makes sense when Apostle Paul says, was it Apostle Paul or James that says, James, count it all joy
All joy.
when you go through persecution, because some people are about to be liberated.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
oh, so good. Oh, I see why I love you. I see it. No, this is
Love you
good.
too.
This is
Love
good.
you.
This is good. Healing is in place. Read exactly faith. Faith,
Yeah.
yes. When we see it in this light, then we know that okay. Just like the other scripture that says that um it's not in vain. Whatever we go through, it
Yeah.
is not in vain.
Never in vain.
Whew.
Never in vain.
Now, tell me about your writing journey. Now that you know, and you've said, okay, this is. Oh my goodness, I cannot hold it. All right. Yeah. So, talking about the journey of who you are. Now you know that. I like when you said he started to show you. You started to see the layers of your identity.
Yeah.
In Christ. And I've started reading the book. I've not completed it, but the little I read about it, the little I read into it, I think the first and second chapter. I love the story and the analogy you gave. Let me choose Maya's story.
Okay.
Maya had that. Okay, I think I can use both stories, but Maya
Okay.
had that experience from being rejected, by her mom, and she just took it that way and
Yeah.
passed it on, right? Until little Maya was like, oh well, I don't have a parent, but
Yes.
I'm okay because where I
Jesus is
am,
taking care of me. Yeah.
exactly, right? So
Yeah.
you had that layers of identity to know that okay, just by accepting when you were told after you searched and searched and you found God, and just by accepting that you are my child, you are my masterpiece, he started to tell you, the layers upon layers upon layers, that it's not just one thing. It's not just you are
Yeah.
my child, that's it. You are my child and you have access to this, you have access to this, you have access to this. So for people who are still in that place where they're finding, or they just know generally, like, I'm a child of God. Number
Yeah.
one, maybe I'm told I'm a child of God. I say my parents are Christian. I'm a Christian. I'm told I'm a child
Yeah.
of God. Or
Yeah. I
I've,
get
I've,
you.
I've heard a song. I've sung a song, and like I'm a child of God. Yeah, I'm a child of God. We are all children of God. We
We
all
are
came from
children of
Adam and
God.
Eve.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
could you speak to those people who have not yet how would they get to that level where they are being introduced to the layers upon layers of who they are, or of who they really are in God, their real identity? How should they get to what's the journey like to get to that point to realize who they really are?
Okay. So when in the book I talked about giving your life to Christ, that's where it begins actually. Not many of us know about God, but many of us don't know God. Many of us know about the God that our pastors tell us about, the God that our parents told us about, but we don't know Him. So it starts with actually having a relationship with God. It starts with just knowing Him and the power of His salvation. And it's not just knowing Him, having an understanding of His being and being conscious that He is with you. Because the scriptures is very clear. Every single answer that we need is in the scriptures, but it is our understanding and application of that scripture that makes it real to us. So when I read the scriptures, I don't read it for reading's sake. I read it as though He's talking to me directly. So someone that I look up to might talk to, I might be in the crowd, and someone I look up to talks to 1,000 of us. I don't see the 999 others. I'm the only one in that room. I'm the only one he's talking to. So I apply that to my study time. When he began to show me who I am in him, first of all, I had given my life to him. But he had to make me understand that he is not just my savior, he is my Lord. Now, being your Lord means that he's not just Lord over maybe your sins or whatever, or your flesh. We don't really understand it when we say that Jesus Christ is Lord. He is Lord over you. So everything that concerns you, He lords over it. Your worries, your cares, your needs. He is Lord over all those other parts, not just your soul. Because when we say, have you taken Jesus as a Lord and personal Savior? They take Him as a Savior, but that Lord, they have reservations on that. But when you really understand that He is actually there, only he's the best lord you can have, because if you don't submit to his lordship, you are submitting to another lordship. It could be the lordship of your insecurities, the lordship of your worries, the lordship of whatever other thing that is not God. So you are always under the submission of a Lord. But when you consciously submit to the lordship of Jesus Christ, it makes more sense to you, right? He takes everything that concerns you into his palm and he directs you. So that was what I did. And he showed me, okay, now that you've given your life to me and you've accepted me as your Lord, I'm going to guide you, I'm going to lead you, right? He showed me several scriptures. It's still in the scriptures. Whatever that I have learned or read in the scriptures, not from anywhere abstract. It's all in the scriptures where he talked about being a light of the world. It was in the scriptures that he talked about it. But then he made me understand more that I, you are the light of the world. You are not the light of your family. You're not the light of yourself. I've made you a light. If I am the light of the world, right? But he also called me a light of the world. Like, I mean, God himself, Jesus is the light of the world. But he says, I'm the light of the world too. And the analogy, the best way he explained it to me is the relationship between the sun and the moon. The moon is not a luminous object. The moon cannot give off light on its own. So during the day, I'm a science student. I used to be a science student actually. So during the day, the moon would trap energy from the sun. Then in the night, the moon will give off its light. And the cycle continues. And at any point, the moon says, I think I've had enough, I've trapped enough energy from the sun. It's only a matter of time before its light goes off. So he told me, I am your source. You are hidden in me, and I will be the source of your light. There is no limit to how bright you can shine if you would allow me. So that understanding just blew my mind. Like, God, are you serious? You mean I can shine? He said, I said, let your light so shine. When I talked about it to my Facebook followers, they don't get it. Let your light so shine. So I stopped seeing myself as a career of darkness, because that was how I saw myself. Oh, I saw myself as a lot of very different negative things. I stopped seeing myself as someone who comes with darkness, that wherever I come, there is no progress. I said, if I'm light, then anywhere that I come into that there is darkness has to lighten up, has to brighten up. And that is what has been happening since I started walking in that consciousness. And then he talked about being the salt of the earth. He says, salt is for different things. It can be used for different things. It can be used to preserve, right? And you are the salt of the earth, because you are there to preserve my word. You are there to preserve everything, that all my precepts. If you are the salt of the earth, in your relationships, there shouldn't be any bitterness, because the salt makes everything come together. What's that? The salt? What does salt more like binds the other ingredients together? So you cannot be in a community and you are the source of strife. No, because you are there, there has to be harmony, there has to be peace, there has to be just beauty in that environment. And it is just terrible that when people hear about you, or when people are discussing and they say, Chinaza Favour is coming, you now start hearing. No, when people hear that Chinaza Favour is coming, they should be happy that I'm coming, because I only bring beauty. I only bring just goodness with me when I come. See, all this starts from within. It just starts with that understanding of who you are. God can say anything, but if you're not able to apply it to your own life, it's not going to work for you. So I had to do that work now of just downloading it. It's more like a programming that I had to download into my head and walk in that consciousness. He talked about me being his masterpiece. I already talked about that, how it helps me that I'm wonderfully and fearfully made. He told me I could have spoken you into existence, but I didn't. That shows how precious you are to me. So if you're looking down on yourself, you're looking down on me. You're calling me a liar. You're calling me a bad creator. And I don't make fake. So when I talk about my complexion being beautiful, my wonderful nose, my lips, and everything that makes me beautiful, it stems from the confidence I have gotten from God. It's not just about what I see around. That's why no standard of beauty that the world sets freaks me or moves me, because he found me beautiful enough to make me this way. He could have made me a different way. He could have made me white. He could have made me Asian. He could have made me any other person, but he made me to look this way, which means, like I tell my followers, I am the shade of his glory that he wants me to reflect. So I hold on to that very, very well. And the other part that I love so much, that I even had to make it different, and when I went for a speaking engagement in church, I had to capitalize on that, was that you are royalty. It says you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood. Your father is the King of Kings. You don't get it. No, you don't. Your father is the King of Kings. What does that make you? A princess, a prince. It's because I didn't have that understanding. That's why I would be walking and I'm looking down in shame. Princesses don't walk like that. Princesses don't walk in shame. Princesses carry themselves with dignity. Royalty, they carry themselves with dignity. Then he told me about the commoner and royalty, that so many of his children are behaving like commoners. They eat with commoners, they dine with commoners, and they start adopting the habits of commoners. In Ecclesiastes, I don't remember where it is again, but I wrote it in my book. The wise man says, I see an error under the sun. Princes walking on barefoot, while slaves on
Are
chariots.
riding donkeys.
Oh my God, that is terrible.
Hmm.
So you are just taking your birthright
And
and
throwing it.
exchanging it with slaves, with commoners, with people who don't even know what you carry. So it's when you have that understanding of who you are. Like I said before, it's all in the scriptures, it's all there. But having that understanding, that awareness of who God has made you to be, all the things that you are in the eyes of God, because these days it's just what God says about me. It's His opinion that I hold dear.
Hmm. Hmm.
If He tells me, Chinaza, you are beautiful, I don't need any other person's opinion. I am beautiful enough in the eyes of God.
Hmm.
So I just walk in that consciousness. So if you are in that place where you are yet to internalize this, I advise that you go and study the scriptures well. Give your life to Christ, because that is when it will make more sense to you. If you have
Hmm.
not, give your life to Christ. That is the first step. So that when you start seeing these things, these promises, and these identities revealed to you in the scriptures, you will be able, you will not feel like a hypocrite in your
Hmm.
heart. You can easily
Accept
wear
and
that
adapt. Yeah.
exactly. So
Hmm.
it's been a wonderful journey for me, and
It's beautiful. Seriously, it's beautiful to watch. It's beautiful to imagine, and I can feel the passion coming through from what you're saying and all of that. And what it just does to me is like it just makes me feel like it's a it's painful for those who don't know and
yeah,
who don't accept. Like they just don't want to accept. And do you have any word for people like that? Like who just don't believe, like, no, it's not for me. Like it doesn't exist. It's not, there's nothing like who is he? What word? Do you have any word for those people? You know, then we can come back to okay, for those of you who believe, this is it. Like I think you've even said it all for those who believe, like it starts with internalizing it. You already have the
yes,
scriptures in your hand. You already have access to it. Sit with it and take it as yours.
yes,
Don't apply, don't make it just your theoretical. Take it as it is. And I think that's why he said we should look at the little children. You tell a child beg,
yes,
he just takes it as it is. We
yes.
should, yes, we should take it as it is for those of us who are believers and who have access to the scriptures. But do you have a word for those who are not and who are not even willing to explore? So does it mean that for those kind of people, they don't have access to understanding who they really are?
Of course not. Of course not. It's I borrow wisdom from different religions, right? It's very bad to hold on to one conviction and not want to be open-minded to look at things from different perspectives. So I advise that you try to actually see what these people are talking about, because God is God of everyone. He's not God of a particular set of people or God of a certain race. He's God of everyone. And if you can just open your heart and ask Him, that was what I did. I was open, I was broken enough to ask. I was willing to just get what He has to say to me. And if you can ask, He answers, He replies. It's just in different ways. We expect God to speak a certain way when He's speaking in a different way. He's not a God that you can box into one understanding. No, you could be expecting Him to speak through a burning fire, but He speaks through the wind. So you just have to be open enough to pick up clues when He talks to you. But whether He talks, yes, He talks. So just open up your heart, be willing to know more about Him, even if you're not a Christian. Just want to know this God that created you. Just want to know. You didn't fall from the sky. You didn't
You're not a Big
evolve.
Bang Theory.
Nah, no, you're not. No, you're not. For thousands of years, we've been humans. We've not evolved into something else. So that tells you that you are human. You are made in the image and likeness of someone. And we humans, we are made to worship. We are made to long for. worship and that spiritual dependency. And until you get it, you continue feeling lost. That is the truth. You see, when people keep doing several things, but there is this hole on the inside of them, they could deny it, but the truth is, we are meant to worship. And until the right person takes his place, that chasm, that hole will continue to be there. So if you don't believe, if you're going to be truthful enough to yourself, you're going to see that you have that hole too. So why don't you just give it a try? Why don't you just let me see what Chinaza Favour is talking about. Let me see if
Explore.
let me just
Explore.
explore. No, just take it as an adventure, and believe me, you're going
Exactly.
to see so many
Like,
treasures.
you want to see a movie?
Yeah,
I'm not into sci-fi, but let
yeah.
me see,
Let
what
me
does
just
Star Wars
see.
look like? Who is Lucas? What's
Yes,
that about?
yes.
Explore is all
Just
we are saying.
explore.
Explore,
Yeah.
explore. And because we're sure of the Father that we have, explore. He
Just
will do the rest.
yes. Exactly.
Explore with
Exactly.
an open mind. Don't have like a, because at the end of the day, he's still a God of choice. He
Yeah.
gives us choices. So if you choose not to, there's nothing you can do about it. But if you
Yeah.
explore with an open mind, really, you find out.
You
Seriously, you
find
find
out
out.
so many beautiful things actually. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Wow, it's been an absolute pleasure. Like I feel like I can sit here with you, 5 hours, like here,
I know, right?
dissecting, talking, digging deep, and just. But it's just beautiful. How can we lay hands on the book for those who don't have the book and would like to read the book to just dive into deeper into what you're talking about?
Okay. We have the printed copies, we have the ebook. So if you want to get the ebook, you can head on to Seller and get it. Seller.co/way out. That's the first letters of the title of the book, and you're gonna get it. It's also on Amazon, so we are going to share the link just after this live session.
Okay,
So we already
fantastic.
have some copies in the UK shipped from Amazon, some in the Philippines, some in the US by people who are reading the book, and the testimonials have been just nothing short of amazing. So it's going to be a wonderful read if you are able to lay your hands on it. The ebook or the printed copy, anyone is fine.
Awesome, awesome. I'm going to edit the caption in this video and also in the audio podcast when it releases after now, and include all the links to sell out to Amazon so that you can get a copy of yours. And if you are in Nigeria and you want to pick up the physical copies, I guess you can get it from Roving Heights, or where can they get it for the physical copies?
Okay, I'm going to drop my number so they can
Okay, so email
contact me.
address. Okay, so you can
Yes.
contact her to get the physical copies. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Chinaza
Thank
Favour,
you,
for being here. It's
sis.
been an
Thank
amazing
you.
pleasure. I knew I was going to have a field time. I did. I hope you guys did. Those of you who connected online, and for you who are going to continue to watch this or who watch the replay of this, I really do hope that you found something that you could hold on to and that you're going to run with it and go really understand if you're feeling lost in any way, if you're not sure of who you are, your identity, beyond the names, beyond the circumstances, that you're going to really go in search of that. And I know without any doubt that if you really search with your heart, you are going to find the truth.
Yes.
There is no doubt about it. You're not the first person who's going to search. You will not be the last. And those who really search, they found, because he said, seek and you will find. And I know that if
Yes.
you seek with all your heart, you are going to find who you really are. And I celebrate that in advance with you. Congratulations for that search and for that, finding. And I mean, you can always write back to us and tell us, like,
Yes.
yes, I understand now. I found it. Thank you. Of course, you're going to have Chinaza's contact details, and you can also follow her across social media handle Chinaza Favour, and just connect with her, follow her content. She's just an amazing, amazing, amazing soul. And it's just been a pleasure being here today. Thank you so much, Chinaza, for doing this. I
Thank
love
you,
you, sir.
sis. I
I love you
love you
so
so
much.
much. I love you. Thank you for
All right,
having
guys, if
me.
this is your first time joining the Afrocentrics podcast, please do well to join us again next time. We're here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We always have content each day. Business Monday, Discovery Tuesday, the Woman Astoria Impact on Wednesday, and then Thursday, live session, and Friday, we have Fun Fridays. Any of these that catches your fancy, plug into it, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on any of the audio channels, Buzzsprout, Anchor, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, whatever it is. And then you can also support the work that we do here by clicking on Buy Me a Coffee and buy us a cup of coffee. Thank you so much for being here. It's like coming
Or more cups
again,
of coffee.
or more cups of coffee. Exactly. Thank you so much, sis. Thank
Thank
you, thank
you.
you, thank you. It's been an amazing time here today. God bless you. If this has blessed you, if this has blessed you, please share the link afterwards with somebody who you know. Just listen to it and then subscribe to the channel. God bless you. Have a fantastic day. Bye bye.
Bye.